Welcome to the annual general meeting of BASH for 2019. This is the agenda that we've got. We've got around half an hour to go through the items, and then we have our annual drinks reception, which you're all welcome to join us. Oh, lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a pointer now. We'll start off by apologies for absence. We've had Dr. Rashid Basu Roy, and then let's go through the, can we take the minutes of the annual general meeting of 2018 as being read and correct? Any amendments, changes, items for correction?
Two members to propose and second.
Right, okay. So could we have a member to propose and one to second, please? Adrian, proposal. Seconder? We'll have Dr. Omani. We'll now move on then to the statement from the General Secretary.
Thank you.
You've got loads of slides.
So, Happy New Year, everybody. So, this is a brief report on BASH performance in the last couple of years. Let's see where you have. So, first of all, in terms of membership, we have a very healthy membership. As at 19th December, the latest data I can get, there are over 1,000 members. And by comparison, in middle of 2016 and 2017, it was just under 1,000. So, it's fairly consistent. It does go up and down slightly because of some resignations, some people paying late and that sort of thing, but running around 1,000. I put down a table of the interesting increases we've had in new nurse members, as you can see, and by comparison, the doctors in training numbers over the 4 quarters of 2018 for comparison. So we have a very healthy spread of members. Obviously, the difference between the total new members and these two would be the consultants and other people joining. In terms of the applications, I get a weekly spreadsheet from KSAM, which I go through and I check the names before I put them to the board for approval. If I see any organizations I'm not sure about, I Google them. And generally, I find that they are sexual health organizations in other parts of the world, and occasionally a private company in the UK. But the individuals concerned usually work in sexual health in some capacity. The secretary performance is reviewed quarterly. We pay our secretaries, so we want to ensure that they're delivering on some criteria that have been set by the board previously. I've selected a few criteria for interest. Calls are answered within 3.5 rings of calling up the secretariat. And we lose about 0.5% of calls only. Caseload, about 350 to 400 calls per quarter come over. Each call average duration is about 1.5 minutes. And there's about a 50-50 split. It varies a lot between member and non-member calls. So non-members use the services of a secretary as much as members. So they're quite busy. In terms of committee work, we're well supported by the Secretariat. 95% of the minutes emailed to the chair within 10 working days and checked. What the chair does afterward is, of course, is different, which we don't monitor, and no KPIs of chairs. In terms of events management, the scientific meeting notices were late last time, so we dealt with that, and now the provisional program details will be posted. But we will chase, obviously, the program organizers to get the final details as soon as possible so you can apply for your study leave. And just like to thank the members of KSM who support us a lot during the year. Lynn Fletcher does a lot of minutes for meetings, organizes things in the background. I work very closely with Lynn, as does Alwyn. Amy Bradley, I need to thank her. She's actually leaving KSM. She was our membership secretary and also helps in our meetings. She's gone to another organization to work. Sophie's taken over the membership. You have seen her in the front office today. William is our accountant, so we work very closely with him in terms of looking at the income and expenditure. Kaveh works very closely with him in terms of that. And of course, Phil is his overall manager of KSM and looks after our account. So, thank you very much. Go on now.
So that was your report, yeah? So,
You want the treasurer next, isn't it?
Is it my turn now?
Yeah,
Okay. Good afternoon. So my report would be quite quick. Bash's finances remained quite stable in 2018, and at the end of 31st July, we had 1.8 million pounds. Most of the money and our income continues to be driven by our investment. In the table below, you will see the total expenditure and the total income generated by Bash. The three main drivers of our expenses remain our events, which is what we have to do. This is what we do. Our payment to Secretariat, KSAM, and our travel costs, colleagues having to meet and have to travel. In terms of the income, our income is mostly driven by membership subscriptions. As Alan said, our membership remains quite stable and fairly robust. Educational events and investment incomes. So last year, Daniel Richardson, our previous chief of conferences and events, before moving to Australia, basically paid deposits for annual spring conferences until 2021. So as a result, Bash's cash reserve went down because we had to pay deposits for 4 events well in advance. And of course, in the future years, these deposits will be utilized. So that would even out, hopefully. As I mentioned, Bash's investment continues to do well, but I have been forewarned that because of post-Brexit, we all expect a turmoil in global markets, so it's quite likely that Bash will lose some of the investment monies, which is beyond our reach. We can't do anything about it. Now, with regards to our expenses, I think we can do business better. This is about trying to cope with what will happen post-Brexit. As I mentioned, educational events, first of all, educational events are our best products, and I think colleagues who organize them are doing a fantastic job. Our events are really, really good in terms of scientific content, and I would ask colleagues to please continue with that. The cost of the events are mostly driven by the cost of the venues, and that we have to accept. The cost increased by 15% last year, and also our new contract with KSAM increased by 12%, or will increase by 12% in 2019. Our financial plan for 2019 is that we will hopefully continue to deliver high-quality educational events. We will reduce the variation, or try to reduce the variation in the cost of educational events. We will try to improve the financial information to the chairs of Bash groups, so that the chairs will know what is their budget, how much of the budget they have spent on, and what their income has been. And we will try to improve our standard operating procedure to reduce the wasting, mostly your time, waste of your time, and to tender, we have to at some stage, I think, to tender our secretariat. Bash membership will remain as it is. We're not going to change the membership. And this is just to show you that our colleague Willem will start sending the chairs the group's statements every quarterly. The statements will look like this and will contain a lot of information for most of us who don't have much information about accounting world. So hopefully it will help chairs to deal with finances better. Any questions?
Fine. Next, I'd like to put to members only the 3 resolutions that are on the agenda, which hope we've seen. Don't think it shows. I haven't got a slide, but it's being circulated with your papers. The first resolution is to receive the audited accounts for a period 1st August 2017 to 31st July 2018, together with the trustees and auditors' reports. So the board have checked through all these along the Finance and Governance Committee. I hope you have as well. And as a formality, we need to have a member propose and a member second the first resolution, please.
Proposed Karen O'Sullivan.
So proposal by Karen O'Sullivan. Thank you, Ashini. And the second resolution is to propose that Farrington & Co. be appointed our auditors again. Farrington have been our auditors for many years to help to prepare and check our accounts. They also help me to, all the General Secretary is ready to submit our reports to Companies House and to charities. So it's an important task to ensure that our finances are okay, and they've been very satisfactory. So I would like to again invite a member to propose and a member to second, please. Thank you, Sashi. And a seconder, please. Thank you, Charles. And lastly, the third resolution is that the payment of our auditors be determined by the Board of Trustees. The process by which we work is that the Finance and Governance Committee would look at their remuneration and ensure that it's comparable to most auditors. The figures that are put to the board and approved. If you agree with that, could I please have a proposer and a seconder? Again, who are members? Thank you. Is it Rajesh? Thank you. And a seconder, please. So, Judy. Okay, thank you. Great, thank you very much.
Ooh. Ooh. I get the best jobs. And if you will. As president of BASH, one of the nice things is to be able to read through some amazing citations for our members who have contributed to not only the specialty but to general society as a whole. I think that we are a very small specialty that punches very much above its weight and have some amazing people who have contributed over the years. Every year we put out requests to the membership to put forward Honorary Life members, Outstanding Achievement Awards and for Lifetime Award recipients. And sometimes there is always a dilemma. Do you spread the accolades thinly or do you actually go for just one person? So the board at this occasion actually did a blind voting system so that we were able to come up with next individual as the Honorary Life Fellow for 2019. So we would like to congratulate Dr. Angela Robinson, who has not only been the president of BASH, but also the president of the MSSVD in the past, on her achievements over the years, and you will be anticipated to come and follow Column's footsteps next year. And I just reflect on this photograph. This was taken last year, and it was really something that probably Angela has probably not thought of herself as of a leader, but actually these are the 5 female presidents that have been of this organisation over the last 15 years. So we're very proud that you actually moved on there. Now my second honour is to actually do the Outstanding Achievement Award. Now I know that this person is not in the room and
probably doesn't know about this yet. So, but her person that sponsored her and nominated her is, and I thought the best thing to do was probably put up the citation, and the Outstanding Achievement Award goes to Dr. Rachel Challoner. I've known Rachel for many, many years, and she has just recently retired. So I thought I'd give you an opportunity to have a brief read of someone that's actually really put herself forward to actually be inspirational for SAS doctors over the last 27 years, and has actually just recently retired. I don't know if anyone wants to kind of tell Rachel personally this, but we will be. But want to say anything?
Yeah, I've already asked her husband to put a report with bubbly in the fridge, but I've kept it just to him at the moment.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. So a round of applause for Rachel. You need to do.
Yeah, I need to go back to slides. The slides are not quite right. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I got involved with putting the slides together and I got it wrong.
Apologies, members. This is also back to front. So I was meant to, after exciting news, I'm now going to just announce some retirements. First of all, we'd like to thank Deborah Kirkham, who's a DIT representative on the board. We gave her a box of chocolates when she left the board. And also Cecilia Priestley. However, Cecilia has very kindly agreed to stay on for another 2 years because she's only done 2 years of a term. And no one else will accept themselves up for election. So she will stay for another 2 years. And we're going to propose and co-opt her onto the board at the next meeting in March. So only one retirement from trusteeship. And in terms of the elected representatives and governance group elections, I've gone past the slide. I'm not going to skip back and go through it. I'll just give you the names. But basically, we only had 2 people put forward for, there were 2 pairs put forward for elections. One, and they both know, so it's not a great surprise. But Hannah Church, who spoke to earlier, and she's DIT on the board, so replaces Deborah Kirkham. So congratulations. And secondly, for Thames Northeast Branch, Selina Singh has been appointed, has emailed her and saw her earlier on in the EC somewhere, I think. So I think she also should be congratulated. And I won't move the slides this time, so I don't steal your thunder. Yes. Thank you.
Concluding comments. Yeah.
You'll be glad to hear I only got 2 slides, and this is the first one. I love this slide. We need to get better at sex. My first thing about my reflections on this year and this AGM is really to thank you, the members, for the commitment and for going that extra mile for BASH. Every time you vote, every time you make a comment, every time you turn up at a meeting, every time you do something, you actually strengthen this organisation. And it's without you, we wouldn't be where we are. Again, I will say we punch above our weight. But I'd also like to thank the council, the board, trustees, and also my officers who, I must admit, over the last year, there have been times where I've been so pleased that they're doing an amazing job to support the organisation. But you can't thank people without actually and when you can become a president, you also have a legacy to follow. And actually, I picked up something amazing in the fact that when I walked into this role, I picked up 6 hot metrics. No, not 6 hot men, 6 hot metrics. And also the sexual health SOS, which Elizabeth Carling had put in place. And that put me in a really good position to actually have something to work on, to build on. You'll be glad to hear that we have worked with the PHE and they can actually use some of the hot metrics out of the GUMCAD data. but also that the Sexual Health SOS, which has now been running as an online campaign, has reached over 8,000 signatures, and that is pretty phenomenal for that sort of campaign. So thank you, Elizabeth, for leaving BASH last year in a good space for me to take up the reins. Legacy is really important all the time, and it then moves on to our achievements. So we do have objectives as BASH. And the first one, I think, mainly is our raison d'etre in education. Kave's just mentioned earlier about the educational events that we put out, and we excel in what we do. No other specialist society that I know actually provides so much free CPD, has at least one major conference that is very, very much tailored to this membership, and actually manages to get between, well, there were over 900 at the Joint Beaver BASH Awards, which means that that's a significant amount of our membership turn up. But also the fact that we actually have an online platform that we actually use for education. We have a STIF foundation, which is wonderful for people who are sort of slightly peripheral to our specialty coming forward. We also do lots of other work around with other groups, with our nurse group, and we've just established a nurse special interest group, and you can see from the new nurse members how successful that is going to be and how valued BASH is by our nurses. The other thing that we excel at is maintaining standards, maintaining the standards in sexual health. We have a fantastic ability to actually come together very rapidly and actually put out some amazing documents. So in the last year, we have produced jointly with the Faculty of Sexual and Reproductive Health the online standards. We're at the moment, under the leadership of Raj Patel, revising the old MedFASH standards as STI standards, and they should be out for consultation in the next few weeks. But also, we work with other groups and advise and actually do consultations with them around their standards. So we are currently awaiting to hear about the NICE sexual health standards, which will be published on the 9th of February. Our clinical effectiveness group does some amazing, truly in-depth work around our guidelines. The launch of, and this year they've looked at 5 guidelines, and the one that probably sticks in my mind are the MGen guidelines, which actually after our MGen day got worldwide accreditation and interest because we are they're the first MGen guidelines in the world. So then, if we're doing standards in education, where are we with our influencing? We have significant influence. We would not have had a health and social care inquiry into sexual health without the lobbying powers of this organisation. And it's actually as a result of Monroe and Foster and ourselves actually meeting with MPs and advising them that there was a significant crisis in the field of sexual health that needed to be addressed, that we got there. There was 85 submissions to that committee, and actually at the moment they're looking for patients and users of sales services to actually do an online questionnaire. We go to the Health and Social Care Committee, Care Committee on the 5th of February, and the questionnaires that you sent out around your services and what happened to you will be used as the oral information there. We also nailed the HPV vaccination in boys and in MSM. We were congratulated by Sir Peter Bottomley last week when we met him, saying that that was a major achievement. We're also looking, with the cross-sector working, looking around PrEP, and the fact now that the PrEP trial has been opened up is a significant impact that we've been working with our partners in the third sector influencing that. So there's other things that we can do around influencing. So these 2 recent cases of extensively resistant gonorrhea, our next steps will be to look at how we can influence around the field of antimicrobial resistance, working with other partners in actually looking at what impact will public health cuts and sexual health cuts have on AMR, and using that as a lever to actually make sure that we do get some funding coming in to our organisations. And it's not just the organisations in England, the same is happening in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, the chronic underfunding of our specialty. We also, as part of our remit, have good partnerships with our patients. The PPI group are doing excellent work around patient leaflets and are about to produce a whole lot of little videos. But we are now working much more closer, mainly because of the background work done with the Local Government Authority Association and with the Directors of Public Health. And both the leads came to our BASH board in December. And by working together, that means that we have a collective body of like-minded people all fighting to get funding for sexual health. Now, these are the things, our successes, but there are challenges. I think our workforce is a major challenge. The morale in the workforce is another major challenge. You know, in 30 years of working in this specialty, I have never seen so many people down, and that is something moving forward that I'd like to do. I think we need a vision going towards 2020 and onwards. We need to build on our educational achievements and have a members' engagement strategy that actually just brings us up, just makes us proud of the work we do. We are unique. We have a skill set that no one else has, and trying to divide us up moves us away from our raison d'etre, which was basically formed back in the Venereal Disease Act. We also need to build on our partnership work and certainly looking outside the sector, so looking at other areas. So I found out that there was an AMR charity, and they work with children around antibiotic stewardship and things like that. So we advance out. We also need to make sure when our standards are published that everybody knows about them and that they are the standards to commission services, regardless of whether it's in community, in primary care or wherever. And then the announcement today was after I'd done the slides, so we just need to make sure that PrEP is commissioned across England and move towards, over the next year, continuing to deliver our charitable objectives. Thank you so much for your commitment as members of BASH to making BASH a successful organisation. Thank you very much.
There's one very important bit of business that I forgot to conduct. So I've had the proposal and second for these 3 resolutions, but according to the minutes, I might also ask you for votes for, votes against, and any abstentions. So let me put it to a meeting now in the closing minutes. Resolution number 1, could you please have a show of hands on members only, those are for resolution number 1. Thank you. Any against? No one against. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. And resolution number 2 about reappointing Farrington & Co. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. And those against? There's no one. And any abstentions? Okay, thank you. And number 3 is to reappoint Farrington & Co. Those for? Thank you. And those against? Thank you. And those who abstain? Okay, thank you very much.
Chaotic, aren't we? At least we can finish on time. So it's now 6 o'clock. Unless there's any other business. Anyone want to raise any other business? Then I will close this meeting, and please join us in the foyer, in the atrium. No, it's not quite the atrium, it's the back of the atrium for drinks, which will be served immediately. Thank you very much.